Fossum here once again. Thanks so much for joining me. Hey, let me ask you a question. What's the opposite of success? What's the opposite of success? Failure, right? And if you look in the dictionary for the antonym of success, well, you'll see failure. So it must be true. No, don't believe everything you read, even in the dictionary, because I'm here to tell you that the opposite of success is not failure. In fact, I'm here to tell you that the precursor to success is failure. I personally believe that failure comes right before success every single time. In fact, I'll tell you, if you're not failing, you're absolutely not succeeding. If you are failing, you are succeeding. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but the truth is every single person who has succeeded at anything significant in the history of mankind has failed many, many, many times. Every single person. Listen, the path to success is failure. So if you're failing and failing and failing and failing, I don't want you to be discouraged. In fact, I want you to be encouraged. Yes, I'm failing. That means I'm on the right path. I'm on the path to success. Sound crazy? I know. But it's not. In fact, let me tell you a story. If you think I'm a little crazy from some of the stuff that I've done, my brother Mike, he's even crazier, okay? Now, understand, he came from the same background as me, which you probably already know about. We were raised in the poorest city in the entire United States of America, surrounded by gangs and drugs. Our father was killed when I was in high school. Before he died, one of the neighbors came up to him and said, I just want to make sure you understand something. Not a single one of your boys will ever grow up to be anything. And that, of course, includes Mike. But he got this crazy idea. And I need to tell you, before I go on, not every story has a happy ending. But we can learn from it. Is that okay? Not every story has a happy ending, but we can learn from it. Okay. See, Mike decided he wanted to be, you ready for this? An astronaut. We don't have astronauts from my hometown, okay? Especially not from my family. But Mike gets this crazy idea, and he actually goes for it. Yeah, him and several thousand other people. But guess what? No, he didn't make it. Nope, not at all. He did not make it. Absolutely not. So now Mike understands he's not going to be an astronaut, all right? No, he didn't. He went for it again. And this time, he didn't make it. Nope, he failed. Now understand, going for it is a 2-year process. 2 years of getting yet another advanced degree, of going through, if you get to this point, the physical testing, the psychological testing, the mental testing, all of that stuff. Getting your hopes up, you're really jacked, you just hope this is going to be it, to get slammed down again. So it's a 2-year process, and he's done it twice. That's how many years? 4 years. So now Mike understands he's not going to be an astronaut, right? He gets it. No, he doesn't. He's kind of stubborn. Now, not every story has a happy ending, but we can learn from it. Because he tried for it again. Guess what happened? No, he didn't make it. So he tried for it again and didn't make it. So he tried for it again and he didn't make it. He tried for it again. He didn't make. How many years is that? If you've been counting, that's 12 years of failure. 12 years of getting your hopes up, excited. Maybe this will be the time. Praying, blood, sweat, and tears to get slammed down again. This time, it got worse. Because his friend across the street, who had been trying for it not nearly as many times as Mike, made it. And Mike didn't. Party going on across the street. Mike doesn't really want to hear it. It got a lot worse when Mike's boss at NASA, he's working for NASA at the time, called him into his office and said, Mike, you understand now, right? You're not going to be an astronaut. We've been trying to tell you for 12 years that you don't cut the mustard. You're not good enough. You're not going to grow up to be an astronaut. It's not going to happen. In fact, it's no longer improbable. It's now impossible because we don't accept astronauts at your age. You're too old. The window is closed. It can't happen. Believe it or not, it got even worse than that. when he continued on to say, we've been trying to tell you for 12 years not to keep doing this. It wasn't going to happen. We've been trying to tell you, you need to work your career for your career, not for this pipe dream that was never going to happen to begin with. We've been trying to tell you, Mike, you better do an about face immediately, or you're going to lose your job here at NASA. You won't work here anymore. Mike was devastated. He was completely devastated. That was it. He really was never going to grow up to be anything. Not every story has a happy ending, but we can learn from it. And when I found out that Mike was going for it again, even though it was no longer even possible, it wasn't going to happen, it couldn't happen, but that wasn't going to stop him. He went for it anyway. When I found that out, I called him up and said, Mike, I need to make sure you understand something. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I couldn't care less if you made astronaut, because there's no way in the world I could be more proud of you than I am right now. And when he got the phone call, he knew right away what the answer was. Just by the tone of the voice on the other end of the line, when the guy said, Mike, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 14 years of blood, sweat, and tears. 14 years going after this one myopic goal, facing failure after failure after failure, getting his hopes up. Man, please, God, please let this be the time. Let it happen, to be shut down with 2 words. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When he was in grade school, in our hometown of McAllen, Texas, on the border of Mexico and Texas, he got a book on space. In grade school, he wrote in there, someday I will touch the stars, a lifelong dream from a kid that shouldn't be able to dream, to be slammed down in 2 words. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was it. What the guy on the phone told him next literally dropped Mike to his knees. When the guy said, Mike, I'm sorry, we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. You need to come clean out your desk. You don't work here anymore. Because you've been selected to be a United States astronaut. You know what? Mike didn't only go up into space once. He went up 3 times. The 3rd time he went up was on a Russian Soyuz spacecraft to go up there for 6 months and be the commander of the International Space Station. Mike is number 12 in U.S. history for number of hours walking in space. While he was up there, he recorded a video from the International Space Station. Would you like to see it? Hope so, because you're about to see it. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Mike Fossum. I'm a NASA astronaut, currently serving as the commander of Expedition 29. Welcome to the International Space Station. I see you've already met my brother Terry. We grew up in one of the poorest parts of the country, a place where many people didn't even finish high school, much less go on for further education. I think the real problem was they didn't have a vision. They didn't have a vision for where they wanted to go, for who they wanted to be. They didn't have a dream. I had a dream. Growing up in the early days of the space program, I decided I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to fly in space too. A lot of people thought I was crazy. Almost everybody thought it was impossible. I didn't talk about it very much, but I didn't forget. And I continued to work throughout my school days and my jobs beyond, always with my eye on that target, always with my eye on the goal, reaching, finding a way every day to move a little bit closer to that, till it finally came true. I've flown 2 space shuttle missions, and now I'm living on the space station for 6 months. I really am living the dream. Trust me, if I can do this, you too can do anything that you set your mind on doing. You have to want it bad enough, and you have to be willing to work hard enough to make it come true. But you can also have a lot of fun along the way. What do you dream about? Do you dream about maybe floating your food in space, catching it in your mouth someday? You could make that happen too. Maybe I'll see you up here next. Good luck, and enjoy the adventure along the way. It's up to you, and you can make it happen.
You remember that guy that said we'd never grow up to be anything? You remember him? We do too. We know who he is. He still lives in McAllen, Texas, and that's all right. It really is. It really is. But he's probably got to bite his tongue every day when he's watching TV, listening to the radio, sees something about Michael E. Fossum Middle School in McAllen, Texas. See, Mike failed over and over and over again, and that's why he succeeded. Each time he failed, he actually succeeded because he learned something from it each time, and he applied that knowledge and reapproached the same challenge from a different angle, with more experience, with more know-how. Instead of it wearing him down, listen to this. Instead of it wearing him down, it made him stronger. Muscle only grows by being torn down. Let me say that again because I want to make sure you're hearing this. Muscle only grows by being torn down. And there's story after story after story of this sort of thing. Did you know that Bill Gates was actually a failure? That's right. Bill Gates was a failure. He started a company called Trafo Data. Ever heard of it? No. And neither has anyone else. Well, one guy did, the guy who laughed Bill Gates and his partner Paul Allen, maybe you've heard of him, out of his office because the machine they were showing him didn't even work. Now, I take that back. Bill Gates was not a failure. He was absolutely not a failure. His product, listen, his product was a failure, but he was not. He didn't fail because he kept on going. If he would have given up on his business altogether and picked up a "will work for food" sign, then maybe. But that's not what Bill did, is it? He got up one more time, then he got knocked down. That's what you need to do. That's what we all need to do. He kept on failing until he succeeded. Abraham Lincoln may have been one of the biggest failures in U.S. political history. You know the story. We've talked about it before. He lost his job. He had a nervous breakdown. He went to war a captain, returned a lowly private. He failed 9 times in politics alone. But guess what? He tried 10 times. And that 10th time, that 10th try, made him one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. Was Abraham Lincoln a failure? Hardly. He could have been, but he chose not to. He chose to get up one more time, then he was knocked down. Each one of those failures was a stepping stone to success. Let me say it again. You got to hear this. Every failure is a stepping stone to success. Henry Ford lost everything on 5 different business ventures. The founder of FedEx, Fred Smith, outlined his entire business plan on a college paper for which he received a C and was told the concept is interesting and well-informed, but in order to earn better than a C, your ideas also have to be feasible. One of the greatest basketball players of all time, Michael Jordan, admits, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost 300 games. 26 times I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Look, if you're not failing, you're not trying. But if you are lucky enough to be failing and failing and failing and failing, then congratulations. Listen, you're on the same path that Abraham Lincoln took, and Bill Gates, and Henry Ford, and Fred Smith, and Michael Jackson, and Michael Fossum, and every other person who succeeded at anything great. So listen, what I'd like you to do, go out there and fail, and fail, and fail, and fail, and fail, until you succeed.